The thought of my only child having brain cancer, it was just the horror of it.
My dad, because I was young, he hid a lot of stuff from me because he didn't want to scare me.
The prognosis was bleak.
This is a very dangerous cancer that does spread to other parts of the body, is an aggressive tumor, is life-threatening if not treated.
I wanted it to be something curable.
I was very frustrated and angry because I was trying so hard, and it was just like everything was against you.
But, you know, you do what you have to do.
Cancer patients have to be treated uniquely. You don't treat cancer, you treat the person who has the cancer.
Welcome to the Incurables. I'm Don Wildman. Despite living in an era that boasts the most advanced medicine in human history, the afflicted still suffer from diseases that confound even the brightest doctors. It's tragic when anyone faces the dreaded cancer, especially when it's considered terminal. Most devastating of all, if the patient is a young child. When doctors told the Masons that their only child, a beautiful 7-year-old girl named Valerie, would probably not survive, they sacrificed everything to save her life.
To tell a child you have a deadly cancer and you're probably going to die is going to take away one of the most valuable tools I think we have as human beings, and that's the ability to fight.
When we got in the ER, it was really late, so it was pretty empty. I think there was maybe 2 other people in there. And I was just bored, and so my mom got out a game, and her face was really red. She was telling me she was having allergy problems when she was actually crying. Everything I remember was just being told everything's going to be fine. So I didn't have anything to worry about.
It wasn't until I actually saw the scans at the emergency room at Children's Memorial Hospital in Chicago and saw how big this tumor was. I'm thinking, how are they going to do this? If they were going to cut through my daughter's brain to get in there to take this out, what would that do to her? Death is final, and you learn to deal with that. You cope with that. You know. But what if she lives? She doesn't die, and now she's a quadriplegic or a vegetable. I couldn't deal with that. I was losing it.
Here is the story of a small, hard-working family. The father, Don Mason, an ex-police officer, is a small business owner. With his wife, Sandra, they are raising their only daughter, a bright-eyed, enthusiastic girl named Valerie, who embraces all life has to offer. She's the kind of girl you can usually find playing outside.
I remember the summer when I was 6, it was just so cool. We did so many fun things. We lived in a little dead-end subdivision with a big field in the back, and I'd be out playing and swimming and riding my bike. My mom and I and my dad, we had a truck then, so he did a lot of truck driving, and he didn't think it was exciting, but I thought it was so cool.
I would take her to gymnastics, and I would watch her, you know, I'd take her there once a week, and she did pretty good. You know, she wasn't good. I didn't see an next Olympic champion going on there, but then all of a sudden things started happening.
It was somewhere in that summer I started having really bad headaches.
She was like on the balance beam, and it was on the floor. And she'd be walking, and she'd fall off. And I said, what's the matter? Come on, concentrate. And I'd be, you know, come on, do it again, you know. And she'd be, you know, getting upset. And she'd try again, and she'd fall off again. And I was really getting disturbed by that.
It wasn't anything big or scary. It was just strange.
One day we were in the car, and she was sitting in the back, of course, and she said, Daddy, how come that sign's blurry?
An eye doctor said that I had astigmatism and gave me bifocals.
I looked at my daughter, and she had these tiny little oval bifocals. I could see the line. And I looked at my wife and said, what the heck is this?
The headaches continued, were getting worse. They would come and go very frequent. 1 minute be there, next minute be gone, and then she started throwing up. So we took her to her pediatrician, and he said her eyes didn't look right and said she should see an ophthalmologist.
And he saw a lot of swelling in the optic nerve, which meant there's obviously pressure on the brain.
He sent her out of the room. I thought he was going to tell me she was going blind. It was worse.
And all I remember was a phone call. My wife's voice saying, it's a brain tumor. I couldn't believe it.
We went immediately from the ophthalmologist's office to get an MRI. And they said, yeah, it was a brain tumor.
And the next thing I remember, I was in my car driving to the doctor's office, and I still had my calculator in my hand, but I didn't have my coat on. I don't even remember getting in the car.